Hare Krishna. We'll start our first session today of reading Srimad Bhagavatam. It's very important to approach Srimad Bhagavatam in a prayerful mode. So we will be saying the Hare Krishna mantra along with Srila Prabhupada for 10-15 times, and then we'll move into the reading. Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, So we know that the original author of all the Vedas is Vyasadeva, and there is also a famous part where he engages Lord Ganesha to help with scribing also. And so part of the writing of the Vedas, he also wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam and first spoke it to his son Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami is the person here who is in the bluish color here. He is usually undressed all the time. We're going to know about him. We're going to read about that in this today's verses. And Sukadeva Goswami in turn speaks to King Parikshit. King Parikshit is a grandson of Arjuna. He was like wonderful emperor. And we're also going to cover some of it also today. So first, original author of Vyasadeva. Actually, in this audience, there is also Vyasadeva also sitting here. And Vyasadeva is the original author of the Vedas. And he wrote all the Vedas. And he becomes unhappy. That's when his guru Narada Muni comes. And Narada Muni comes and encourages him to write Srimad Bhagavatam in a specific manner. Yeah. Srimad Bhagavatam in a specific manner. And that was spoken by, Sukadeva Goswami. Right. Yeah. That was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami. And then Sukadeva Goswami spoke it to Emperor Parikshit. And that was the first time public speaking happened. And it was heard by all of the sages here. There are like number of sages. And one of the sage, name is Sukadeva Goswami, was also in the audience. So he has a Srimad Bhagavatam. How to clear this thing? He has the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was asked to narrate by different set of sages called Naimisharanya sages from Naimisharanya. This is the different scene. Um, the previous scene was near to the border of Hastinapur. This one is at a place called Naimisharanya. We also get to read about this place and the sages as well. So he's the one Sukadeva Goswami. Uh, he was in the audience. He heard the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was narrating the Srimad Bhagavatam to all the sages. That's the scene here, and there's a scene here. And this chapter's title is Appearance of Narada Muni. So Vyasadeva was busy. We will read that in the next day's verses. Vyasadeva was busy writing compelling Vedas, and he writes all the Vedas. But the end of the chapter, we come to find that Vyasadeva was not happy, and he was really looking what was going on. That's when Narada Muni just appears. Therefore, this chapter is called Appearance of Narada. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. It is said in the Padma Purana, the first two books, first one and two are called the lotus feet, and the third and fourth are called thighs, and the fifth is called the navel, and the sixth is his chest, and the seventh and eighth is his arms, ninth is throat, and the 10th is blooming face, and 11th forehead, and 12th is his head. So it's literally a form of Srimad Bhagavatam we are having in our home. And this Srimad Bhagavatam, what does it have? It has everything any book can be there in this existence and more. So most of the books will have adventure, intrigue, struggle, romance, comedy, and so on. Bhagavatam covers it all. And Bhagavatam will also have more than that. And it is a book um, that can be read by anyone, anyone and anyone. Child can benefit, the middle-aged person can benefit, older person can benefit. But we also have to know that the more earlier the stage of life is, the more benefit it is. Actually, we see that in the further books of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is this wonderful child called Prahlad Maharaj. He actually heard the Srimad Bhagavatam even from the tummy. So therefore, it is so wonderful, so auspicious to recite the Srimad Bhagavatam the sooner possible. And the power of these books, just by keeping in the home, they just attracts a lot of good fortune. We're also going to read about it today. The message of Bhagavatam is punya. It's all the Bhagavatam is completely punya and punya and punya, like nothing inauspicious. So that is the stature of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just by keeping in the home, it attracts a lot of good fortune, like how a magnet attracts all the iron piles. And it's like a deity form of Krishna. We already went over it. Just by dusting them, one gets a lot of spiritual benefit. I don't think there is any other book that has that caliber. So having the Bhagavatam in our home, actually our home will become a place of safety and protection and shelter actually. Because Bhagavatam will have all the great personalities, wonderful personalities like Sukadeva, Goswami, Narada, Bhishma, Prahlad, Dhruva, Pandava, Supreme Lords, and so on. So when we have all of them in our home, it's the most auspicious. Therefore, our home becomes the holy dham, a place of pilgrimage. Children benefits tremendously as I brought it up about the example of Prahlad Maharaj and so on. And we don't need to hesitate. They don't know the language or they don't know this thing, that thing, that so on. Because it's at this the spirit the Srimad Bhagavatam caliber is at a spiritual level. So it is not dependent on the language and technique and logic and understanding and so on. So just providing the Bhagavatam to everyone, like Bhagavatam to the children, the earliest possible to us and to others, it's going to bring, that much tremendousness. And these are all the benefits of keeping keeping in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam. How about if you read it? If you read a word of Srimad Bhagavatam, basically, There is a Paramatma in our heart, there's a super soul in our heart. So we can actually be in touch with him and hear from him and even maybe talk with him also. Having said this, how about the gifting or sharing of this message of Srimad Bhagavatam? Is very, very powerful. One who shares this message of Bhagavatam, it is said one will attain supreme transcendental destination, Paramagati. It will attain the topmost position very easily.
व्यास उवाच इति ब्रुवाणं संस्तूय मुनीनां दीर्घसत्रिणां वृद्धकुलपतिसूतं बह्वृच शौनको ब्रवीत्
So this is the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, first verse from the 4th chapter. The 4th chapter says, Iti Bruvanam Samstuya Muninam Dirgha Satrinam Vruddha Kulapati Sutam Pavrucha Shaunaka Bruvit. As I said, the primary author of this Srimad Bhagavatam is Vyasadeva, but he will not show himself much except in the first verse and again this verse. After this, actually, we don't see him again. We don't see him. So he is telling that there is this sages sages at Naimisharanya. They were all sitting here in Naimisharanya, place called Naimisharanya, and then personality named Suta Goswami, who also heard the Srimad Bhagavatam when it was first narrated by Sukadeva Goswami, and now he is narrating that too. He was talking with the sages of Naimisharanya. So, the
व्यास उवाच इति ब्रुवाणं
So, Vyasadeva is telling Shaunaka Muni, on hearing from Sukadeva Goswami, Shaunaka Muni, who was elderly and learned leader of all the rishis, engaged in a prolonged sacrifice, congratulated Sutta Goswami by addressing him as follows. Just 1 second.
व्यास उवाच इति ब्रुवाणं
In that prolonged sacrifice, congratulated Sutta Goswami. We shall read the purport. Srila Prabhupada explains here that what is the qualification, what's the etiquette that should be followed in a wonderful meetings like this. So the etiquette is let's see the purport. In a meeting of learned men, when there are congratulations or addresses for the speaker, the qualifications of the congratulator should be as follows. He must be leader of the house and an elderly man. So that's what we cover here, elderly and a learned leader of all rishis. That's the example we are seeing from Sonaka Rishi. He must be the leader of the house. He must be vastly learned also. So See, Shaunaka Rishi had all these qualifications, and thus he stood up to congratulate Sri Suta Goswami when he expressed his desire to present Srimad Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from Sukadeva Goswami and also realized it personally. Now we're going to hear the qualification of the speaker. We are hearing the qualification of speaker. He heard it from Sukadeva Goswami and realized it personally. Personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, attempt to show one's own learning by trying to surpass the previous acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous acharya, and at the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization. The leader of the assembly, Shaunaka, could estimate the value of the speaker, Sri Suta Goswami, simply by his uttering Athaditam Yathamati, and therefore he was very glad to congratulate him in ecstasy. No learned man should be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original Acharya. So the speaker and the audience were bonified in the meeting where the Bhagavatam was being recited for the second time. That should be the standard of recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam so that real purpose can be served without any difficulty. Unless the situation is created, the Bhagavatam recitation for extraneous purposes is useless labor both for the speaker and for the audience. That's the idea here. So today's verses, first 10 verses, we'll be talking about Bhagavatam, the history of Bhagavatam. How was it that Vyasadeva came to compile the Srimad Bhagavatam? How was it that Sukadeva Goswami, the first speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first spoke it? How is it that King Emperor of the whole earth was got to hear Srimad Bhagavatam? Actually, that's a big scene that he gives of the whole kingdom and all those things, and he sits on here. So that's a discussion that goes in today's 10 verses.
शौनक उवाच
So the next verse is, you are most fortunate and respected of all those who can speak and recite. Please relate the pious message of Srimad Bhagavatam, and which was spoken by the great and powerful, says Sukadeva Goswami. So here, Khatam Bhagavatam Punyam. Bhagavad Kata is full of punya, full of auspiciousness. So there should be a standard for approaching the Srimad Bhagavatam. It should not be heard from anyone and anyone, and it should not be spoken very lightly. So, as Prabhupada was explaining to us in the previous verse, that the Bhagavatam message should be heard as it was heard from Sukadeva Goswami, the first speaker, and of course, he can relay that in an understandable manner, but he cannot take away the meaning and Acharya. That's the idea. So, and if one takes away the meaning and Acharya out of the Srimad Bhagavatam, then one will not get the pious effects of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise, if we follow the sweet and we patiently go through step by step, that's it. That will be
शौनक
auspicious.
उवाच
In the interest of the time, we'll go into the next translations.
कस्मिन् युगे
So,
प्रवृत्तेयं स्थाने
in what period and what place was this first begun? Why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Vyapayana Vyasa, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? So, Vyasdev has already explained Mahabharata, Vedas and all Mahabharata and for everyone. Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all of them, and so the inquiries really makes it perfect to ask about how did Srimad Bhagavatam come, after, especially after compiling all the Vedas and even Mahabharata and so on, actually. So it's a special contribution by Vyasdev.
तस्य पुत्रो महायोगी
And next one, his son was a great devotee and equibalanced monist, whose mind was always concentrated in monism. He was transcendental to mundane activities, but being unexposed, he appeared like an ignorant man. So here we are hearing about Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami, we already went over it. He always stays naked or undressed, because the reason is he's fully transcendental. And Um, he he is the one who was the first speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam.
दृष्ट्वानुयान्तं
The text 5 says, so while Vyasdev, so Sukadeva Goswami was son of Vyasdev, and actually he's so transcendental that he doesn't come out of his mom's tummy for actually at least like 16 years. Imagine, like, carrying a baby or, grown up child for 16 years. So seeing this point, somehow Vyasdeva convinces him to come out. So when he comes out, he runs away. So this is the verse now. While Vyasdeva was following his son, beautiful young damsels who were bathing naked covered their bodies with cloth. Although Vyasdeva himself was not naked, but they had not done so when his son had passed. The sage inquired about this, and the young ladies replied that his son was purified, and when looking at them, made no distinction between male and female. But the sage made such distinctions. So this is, this verse and the next verse is all about Sukadeva Goswami. So Sukadeva Goswami was naked and running away, and there is a place where the ladies were taking bath, and when Sukadeva Goswami was running away, they didn't even worry about it. But behind Sukadeva Goswami, Vyasdev was also running back. And when Vyasdev comes into the scene, they just immediately get startled and covers up their body with the cloth. So Vyasdeva gets surprised, and he asked, "What is this? I'm like your grandfather, and this boy is like in very youth and with his grown-up organs." And the ladies say that, mm, he his son was purified and he did not make any distinction. Of course, here Vyasdev is also transcendental, but it's setting an example. Vyasdeva is still under the family life, so he's setting an example that he's not transcendental yet.
कथम् आलक्षितपौरैः
So how was Sukadeva Goswami, son of Vyasdev, recognized by the sages when he entered the city of Hastinapur after wandering in the province of Guru and jungle, appearing like a mad, dumb, and retarded? So here we come to Srila Prabhupada explains that, how do we recognize a sadhu? A sadhu will not be recognized by anything externality. He is only recognized actually not by seeing him, but by hearing. So Prabhupada tells one should approach a sadhu or great sage not to see, but to hear him. If one is not prepared to hear the words of a sadhu, there is no profit. Sukadeva Goswami was sadhu who could speak on the transcendental activities. So he did not satisfy the whims of ordinary citizens. He was recognized when he spoke on the subject of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he never attempted jugglery like magician. Outwardly he appeared to be retarded, dumb, madman, but in fact he was the most elevated transcendental personality.
कथं वा पाण्डवेयस्य
So from
राज
here, the questions is about Parshit Maharaj. So far, the first speaker, the questions were asked. How did he speak? He was looking like a madman who could not be recognized by sight, but he was recognized when he spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam. How did all this happen? And when he was running away, the ladies were not startled, but whereas basically he's such a pure and transcendental person. How did he get to speak? And now, how did the first hearer, the Maharaj Parshid, Emperor Parshid, happen to hear? So the text says, how did so happen that King Parshid met this great sage, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas, Srimad Bhagavatam, to be sung to him? So we have to note this word, essence of the Vedas. So we also get to note that in the rest of the chapter. But where this Bhagavatam, Vedas is the master literature, is the knowledge of everything and everything in this existence, in this creation, and essence of all the Vedas is a summary, or actually, it's Bhagavatam is called a story form of narration of the summary, actually. So, um, so Bhagavatam is not some fictitious or imaginary or something like that. Bhagavatam is Bhagavatam. So that's the idea. Now,
सगोदोहनमात्रं हि
so he was accustomed to stay at the door of a householder only long enough for a cow to be milked, and he did this just to sanctify the residents. So that's the idea. So this preaches of the message of pure message of the Vedas, which brings a lot of auspiciousness, a lot of happiness. They don't go for any other interest than in blessing the people. So they don't stay more than a certain period of time, which is equivalent to a time enough to milk a cow, which is about 20 minutes or something like that. And then they just speak the message, speak this as an auspicious message of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they will go away. But here, Sukadeva Goswami got to speak with Maharaj Parishit for almost like 7 days. That was a surprise.
अभिमन्युसुतं सूत प्राहुर्भागवतोत्तम.
So Parishit Maharaj is said to be a great first-class devotee of the Lord, and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell us about him. So after Pandavas left, Parishit Maharaj is the one who ruled the kingdom. When he ruled the kingdom, it is a no compromise. We get to hear about this in the very end of this first book. It's almost in the 18 chapters. And that when there was some infiltration of Kali Yuga was started, he even stopped the Kali also. That is his caliber. So the sages were asking to tell about this first hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, the Srimad Bhagavatam was first applied on the Parikshit Maharaj, and he came out successful. So we get to know about that.
ससम्राट्ठस्य वाहेतोः पाण्डूनां मानवर्धनः प्रायोपविष्टो गङ्गायाम् अनादृत्यादिराट् श्रियम्.
He was a great emperor and possessed all the opulences of his acquired kingdom. He was so exalted that he was increasing the prestige of Pandu dynasty. Why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges and fast until death? So the power of the Maharaj Parishit was that, he was the emperor of all the world and the seas and the ocean. And he did not have to, and another thing is he did not have to acquire them by his own effort. He inherited. Besides that, he was just excelling in the administration and worthy of the good names of his forefathers. And therefore, there was nothing undesirable in his opulence in administration. So then, how did he give it up and sit at the bank of the Ganges fast until death? It was so surprising to the sages. So that's the idea of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we went through the prayers. It is, the Srimad Bhagavatam is, glorious literature, glorious. It's real. It has a real subject matter, and it has all auspicious, full of auspicious. There is not a single dot of inauspiciousness in Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, we offered a prayer, to access the power of the pious Bhagavata Kada, Khatam Bhagavatam Punyam. And then the first author of the Srimad Bhagavatam is Vyasadeva himself. And then he spoke it to his son, son Sukadeva Goswami. And Sukadeva Goswami is the one who's looking in blue color, sitting on the throne. We went through that he is pure and transcendent even before he was born. And it was proved that when he was born, he runs away. Runs away that people, ladies bathing in the river, they didn't find any disturbance to them, although he is 16-year-old and with his grown-up organs. Whereas Vyasadeva, who was fully covered up and he is like a elderly person, grandfather-like person to them, but they get startled, they get covered. So then they say that he is very pure. And the sage's question is, we went through that, this is all happening, the discussion happening between Sukadeva Goswami and the sages. And the sage's question is, how is that? He is such a transcendental person. And he looked like a dumb and retarded person and no dress and so on. And nobody can recognize him as sadhu just by seeing himself. How did he get to speak? And when he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam, all the residents of the universe recognized him. So we learned that it's very important to know the sadhu by hearing from him, not by seeing at them. And the speaker should not juggle the words and should not, they should speak the message as it is in an understandable manner. And then we also heard questions about Parshit Maharaj. He was such an emperor. Is having unrivaled opulences, and his administration is so good. And how he's able to give up everything, and not only give up, he goes and stays at the bank of the Ganges. And not only that, he must fast until death. It is so astonishing. Could you please tell about that? So that is the summary for today. So we'll come back tomorrow from the 11th verse onwards. Thank you everyone for joining. Hare Krishna.